obviously, we'll get into just all the off-season roster stuff, but I'm going to start with last off-season so we can set the table of where your expectations are, what happened, etc. By the way, this is going to be a hard-hitting interview if people don't know. I'm just going to ask Carlos the questions. He can answer however he wants them. So, you can actually ask questions, believe it or not, and the person doesn't have to just cancel the interview. Travis. Why did I say Travis there? It's weird. It's just like free association or something I did there, Carlos. Right, here's what we're going to do, okay? Let's start with last off-season, because here's the first topic, right? As I said with joking about the whole piece of shit thing, people are still super stuck on the whole Perkz thing to Cloud9, right? And really, it's not the Perkz to Cloud9 part. That's after the fact he didn't go to Fnatic, right? So the first question I have goes like this, right? Last off-season, when you had this situation, you came on the Crackdown with me and Dom and you explained it all, that like you'd even told Perkz previously and everyone in the team knows there's one org I will never sell you to, which is Fnatic. You can be, and also you told people previously, I always tell you, I'm never going to just let you go for free. So if you sign the contract with me, I'm going to sell you for an amount, etc. Blah, blah, all that jazz, right? Yep. The problem is, if people don't know, you yourself recently revealed some pretty spicy info that when that actually Perkz apparently he thought he was the boss of G2, because he just like, everyone in the room, right, gather round, announcement, I will be joining Fnatic, and you were like, bro, you won't be doing that, and he was like, what the fuck?
Actually, hold on. Like, that's what one guy. No, I want to clarify, because that one guy that made the transcription of what I said on Twitter Spaces. Said that the whole team was there. No, what I said is it was Perkz, myself, and then I added my esports operations manager back then, called Danny, and the manager of the League of Legends team, Taco, so that, because I smelled something odd, so I said, I want you guys there.
Have witnesses,
yeah,
right?
But what happened with the full team was the conversation about should we keep Perkz after he's saying he wants back. But he didn't, like, Perkz, just for the record, not that I know of, Perkz didn't gather the whole team to say he's going to Fnatic, okay? Just FYI.
Yeah, fair enough. No, totally, absolutely correct. Right, here's the thing, though, I would say. The gist was, he thought, because he was going to know he was going to leave the team, he'd already had the discussion with you, like, he can't play mid lane, obviously Caps is there. You also mentioned that publicly, that there was an agreement previously.
Yeah, it was a gentleman's agreement.
Yeah. Understandable, because if you're a fan, why would you join a team where the other player is your main rival, and obviously he himself might want to roll swap back? So it makes perfect sense. Not all. No, this is what I want to ask you: is this right? When you look back now, was it a mistake to make those tweets, the ones where you basically said Perkz is king or whatever, he does what he wants? You obviously couldn't join Fnatic, could he? That was the one thing he couldn't do.
Yeah. So it's funny you asked me this, because you know the answer to this is yes. We spoke about this before, and I said this in the Twitter Spaces as well, that the one thing I actually regret you can argue, looking back, you can always argue I would have done things differently with the information I have right now, but with the information, but that's in hindsight. That's not what I mean. What I mean is, with the information I had back then, it was still a mistake to put out those tweets. So it's one of those very few things, if not the only thing, honestly, that I, in recent history, regret putting out. And the tweets, just to be clear, are about, the one where he was like hugging my son, and I say that he's like the uncle of my son and shit like that. And another one, the Perkz goes where he pleases, right? And so I want to contextualize why that happened, although I already did it in Twitter Spaces, but it's very important people understand that there's two main reasons, right? One of them is that people were saying so barbaric shit online about my relationship with him. Like, literally, bro, like, I would get a 3 a.m. call, and if I was with 40 degrees fever and it was 3 a.m. and I would still take the call, put on my clothes, and go to the fucking gaming house just to walk with him and talk about his problems, right? Do you think I do that with every player? Well, obviously not, and certainly not anymore, but not to that degree of friendship. But I did care about him, right? And I do care about him, actually. It's true to a lesser degree, but I do care about him. And people saying some barbaric shit, like, bro, like on Sundays, which was the day off, right? And my day off, I would bring him home to eat dinner with my wife and my son. Like, what kind of player relationship is that? Like, we were just watching a movie or something with my son at night, And he's playing with Leo, and like, I don't know, he's part of the family. He actually was part of the family. I'm not even, like, it's just, I don't fucking do this with any other player. I've never done it with any other player, And so when you read barbaric shit about our relationship, then that's one of the reasons why I felt the need to tell the world, hold on, guys. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, he's not like that. Like, I don't want to fuck his career. I don't want to fuck him over. He doesn't want to fuck me either. He's just emotional about a decision I have taken. But nobody's trying to fuck anybody here, you know? Look, this is proof of it. That's what my intention, I guess, was. But the number 2 reason was because, again, because of my very close relationship with Perkz, I was like, you know me. I mean, I consider myself empathetic. Like, I do feel empathy for people, right? And very, very strongly, actually. And I learned long ago, I won't get into details, but I learned long ago with actual family that family and business don't go together. It just doesn't. And in the past, I had to choose, and it was a very hurtful process, and I had to choose again. Because Perkz, even though he's not blood family, he became family. As I told you, as proven by the shit I told you we're doing on Sundays, which I don't do with anybody else. And so I was feeling like a bitch, bro. Like, mentally, I was weak, honestly. There was too much blah blah everywhere. I couldn't focus on my business, which I was in the process of reorganizing as well. Like, there's a lot that goes into this, you know? It was a multi-tens of millions dollar company with 150 plus employees, or back then 120, 30 plus employees. And like, a lot of shit, it falls on your shoulders. On top of this, you have the lineup changes. You have the need to prove yourself competitively in front of your fans. You have the need to generate cash so that you can make up with your commercial team to get somebody as marketable for brands. On top of that, for, you just have to make money to spend it later. Is that fucking simple, right? And so all these things combined, and then all this community reaction to this shit, it just made me, honestly, that was one of the only moments I remember, and I truly remember, in like the last 5-7 years, that I was like weak mentally, you know? It lasted for a week, or maybe less, a few days, but it was like really weak mentally. And yeah, I made those tweets, and I regret it because I was a fucking bitch. And that's okay. I learned my lesson. I learned many lessons.
I've got a quick question along those lines, by the way, before we go on, which is just this. Does it bother you at all that Luka Perkz himself sort of, I can't tell him, here's the thing, like, my vibe, I know him a little bit. My vibe is, I don't think he definitely doesn't buy the angle that fans say on Reddit, but I will say this, it feels like he's played with that, like he's used it as ammunition.
Of course.
Like, he hasn't overtly said it, but he's sort of vaguely tried to allude to that, you know?
Of course. Yeah, he's smart. Of course he played with it. Of course he used... he intended to use public pressure to get what he wanted, and he still saw I didn't bend my knee regardless of that public pressure. Of course he did, and most players will do it, and I don't blame them because their careers are most dear to them, right?
Oh, for sure.
So I get it. I get it. Is it dirty playing? It's fine. I have more leverage because I'm the team owner, and ultimately I decide these things, among other reasons, because I spend tens of millions of dollars in this shit, no? But yeah, it's just what it is. I consider it as part of the game, and I will never hold it against him.
Yeah.
I will. Yeah, but yeah, you're right. He did. But that's just how it goes, you know. Like, corporate bad, CEO bad, player good, because they automatically connect me with Jeff Bezos.
Like yeah, exactly.
I think I'm Jeff Bezos or some shit, you know? When in reality, I'm a startup owner that is just, fucking, until like 5 years ago, I was fucking saving costs everywhere I could. Yeah, now I like my garage now, but to get here, there was blood, sweat, and tears, and a lot of hours not spent with my son. So anyway, but that's besides the point. You know what I mean with this, and ultimately, yeah, that's the one thing I regret. And if I could go back in time, I wouldn't do it. You know why? Because I should be proud of the decisions I take, regardless of people not being on board with them. So long as I'm proud of them, like truly proud of them, and I was proud of that decision. I would do it again and again and again because it was the right thing.
right? In the last off-season, I'm asking these questions on purpose with it because they obviously set up the precedent of what you think and what your principles are for the other moves we're going to talk about. So the other question along the Perkz line goes like this, right? Was Cloud9 the actual best offer for Perkz as well? Like, you know, that's the perception as well. It's like, oh, he also just only sends people to NA so they can't compete against him. Like, in this scenario, were there other EU teams that were comparable to the offer from Cloud9? Was Perkz the one who chose Cloud9 out of the teams? What would you actually have sold him to anyone but Fnatic? If, like, for example, the obvious example is like Vitality, because we all know they have the money and they did have that. If they'd have come along with the same deal as Cloud9 and Perkz said he wanted to go Vitality, would he have been there instead?
Bro, of course. I mean, even better. Like, so let me give you the context, right? So after he tried to join Fnatic and I said, no, Fnatic is never going to happen. So what he did, he tried again and assert public pressure with the wolf on the ship story. And then Carlos was the motherfucker ever since then. And I still didn't cave to the pressure. And then he said, okay, then I stay, right? And maybe I am, okay, maybe the ship on the wolf happened after I said, no, you can't return, actually. But maybe not that important. But important here is that when he realized that Fnatic was not going to happen, he said, okay, then I stay as AD carry. And I said, no, fuck no, you're not staying. And then I checked with the team, and the majority of the team said, yeah, it makes no sense that he stays if he's mentally checked out. I have a very clear mindset here. Like, even if you're LeBron James, like, if you're checked out mentally, you're done. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
You're not gonna play. You're a faker. I don't give a fuck. So, I mean, you're Luka. I mean, I always said I prefer Perkz than Faker on my Western team, and I stand by it. And I still said, no, you can't stay, because I don't want to stay 12 months walking on eggshells. So, yeah, the moment he realized that he couldn't go to Fnatic and he couldn't stay as AD, then he went for the other options, which then he tried to do a super team that was significantly better than the one in Fnatic, than the team in Fnatic, sorry. He tried to do that with Hylissang as support, and I think it might have been upset as AD, if I'm not correct, if I'm not wrong. Definitely top lane Alphari, and then jungle Trick. He tried to do that and him as mid laner. He tried to do that for Misfits and Vitality. I tried to proactively make it happen. I did everything in my hand. I'm not expected to. I still tried because I want to sell him, right? For multiple reasons. One of them being that he was indeed family, actually. So that did play a positive role. And I was speaking with Misfits and Vitality about buyouts. And the buyouts were, I can tell you already, it was like 1.2 million. And I was ready to accept. Well, let me tell you, Cloud9 didn't pay 1.2 million. They paid I can't tell you the number, but we're talking about people know. Fucking people know.
People know the rough amount.
People know the rough amount. So not even it's below half, right? So way below half. So we're talking here about the fact that I would have sold him to a better team for way less money than I had offers for him from North America to Europe. Okay? People just choose to fucking ignore that. Or automatically say I'm lying, using my tweets about Perkz go where he pleases as the baseline as of why I'm a liar. I'm not a liar. I'm actually fucking honest. and that's the, actually that's the one thing that does trigger me, or used to trigger me, not anymore, because when you read it too much, it just goes one ear and leaves the other. But it used to trigger me when people just automatically believe I'm a liar because of those fucking tweets, when in reality my track record is fucking immaculate. I have no filter. And so yeah, anyway, that's besides the point. But you know where I'm headed to. He could have gone to a better team. I would have allowed it for way less money. And it didn't happen because Alphari took a plane to Utrecht and he signed with Team Liquid.
Yes.
And finally the super team didn't happen. Hylissang, as a result of that, agreed with Fnatic on renewal. So he stood with Bwipo, and the rest is history.
Want to see more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, be a pleb and don't.